This video shows how to export model objects to NC files using API calls. After you have finished detailing a Tekla Structures model, you can export the NC data from Tekla Structures to be used by CNC machine tools. Tekla Structures transforms the part length, hole positions, bevels, notches, and cuts into sets of coordinates that the machine tools can use to create the part. Tekla Structures produces NC files in DSTV format. Tekla Structures can also produce NC files in DXF format by converting DSTV files to DXF files. To begin, create a new Windows Forms project in Microsoft Visual Studio. Every time you start a new project, remember to install the Tekla Open API Nugget package. First, add directive lines to the beginning of the code. The system.io namespace allows reading and writing to files. To begin, create the connection to Tekla Structures and get basic information. Use the model.getInfo to query the name and the path of the model. Module Manager.configuration property includes the currently running configuration of Tekla Structures. The getCurrentProgram version method returns the current Tekla Structures version. Next, create the folder where the NC files will be stored. Give a name to your folder and store the file path into a string. When formatting the path name, you have to be precise. Put a backslash at the end of the CNC files directory string. Check if the folder already exists in the current directory, and if not, create a new one. We will create the NC folder inside of the current Tekla Structures model folder. Next, create the NC files for plates and profiles. To create the files, use the create NC files from selected method. It takes two parameters. The first one is the name of the NC setting template. You can see the standard setting templates in Tekla Structures. On the File menu, select Export and NC Files. The default settings are DSTV for plates and DSTV for profiles. The second parameter for this method is the name of the folder where NC files are created. Assign the return type as Boolean. This returns true if the NC files are created, and false if the part numbering is not up to date, or the configuration used is wrong. Now, implement a message box that informs the user that the export is done, and asks if they want to open the folder. Here, the message box.show gets four parameters. First, a string with the text to display in the message box. Second, a string with the text to display in the title bar of the message box. Third, a message box button to create the yes and no buttons. And finally, a message box icon to specify the icon to display in the message box. Check if the user clicks yes and open the folder using the process class. Set the Enable Raising Events property as false. Initialize the file name property as Explorer. The Arguments property should include the file path to the executable folder. Use the Start method to start the File Explorer. Before you run the app, make sure that the numbering of the model objects is up to date. You can't perform the export if the numbering is not up to date. To update part numbering, on Tekla Structures, on the Drawings and Reports tab, click Perform Numbering, and Number Modified Objects. Now, select some steel parts on your Tekla Structures model. Go to Microsoft Visual Studio, and run the application. Click Yes to open the newly created folder. Here, you can see all the NC files of your selected objects, both for plates and profiles. You can open the files with an associated viewer, or with Notepad. Now, you have learned about NC files and know how to create NC files in DSTV format.